What's up, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right. So we'll get everything started here. What we need to do our normal putting it out on the Discord. Let's go ahead and get that. What's up, guys? What's up, Tom? What's up, Drake? Trying to get everything in order. Here we go. We need to do... Strange, I'm not seeing the live video, though. Why am I not seeing the live video? Let's try it this way. There we go. Now I found it. Yeah, it looks like Tom was first in this one. Timestamp's the same, but Tom's first one on there, so... Ethan came in. First one. Hey, Anon. You got people bit ahead of you, Ethan. What's up, Valjean? What's up, Tom? I'm never first. What's up, Gators? What's up, Jason? We in it to win it? We are in it to win it. Today was good. I spent some time crunching some numbers, and I think we're going to be... Tom wins. He typed a little faster than me. Yeah, but your timestamps are pretty close, so that's pretty good. All right. So I need to put out on the YouTube channel and Discord that I'm streaming. I think we have the right video. Okay, here we go. So we'll do an @everyone real quick. If we can hopefully get a couple people in there. All right, here we go. And then... Citadel bankrupt? Not yet, but one can hope, right? What's up, KH? Can't stay on, but commenting, liking to help the algo. Best of luck to all. Be well. Thanks so much, KH. All right. And then we just need the last thing, which is to announce it on Twitter, right? Probably need to spend more time on Twitter. I don't do a lot there. Citadel Securities is filing for bankruptcy soon. That's the tweet that was put out. I don't know if it's rumor mill, though. We'll have to see. Let's see. No stock should ever be able to go over 100% short interest. Yeah, Twitter's got a whole lot going on right now. People are talking about GameStop. That's good. All right. Let's put out their thing so we can get started. Here we go. Copy and paste this. All right, here we go. You guys remember the days when I couldn't even keep up with the chat? I was always like 10 people behind. Now we get like 30 people. clean it up. All right. Yeah, some people have been saying that. All right, so Andrew's here with us. I'm here now, guys. What's up? What's up, Matt? GME was a good source of dopamine today. Yeah, GameStop was fun to watch this morning and into the afternoon, especially the afternoon, right? We had that nice little push back up. Here. Yeah, I mean, it was a good day. It was a good day. I would love to finish 150, but couldn't let us have that, could they? We'll see what happens tomorrow. Might need to cool off a little bit, but that was good. AMC had a pretty good day too. AMC had a nice solid day. Let's see what else did pretty well. BBBY had a decent day, not like great, but not too bad. And then who else had Redbox had a really nice day, didn't they? So obviously I added this one because it's become a popular ticker. I'm looking at the short term mainly. This is not financial advice, but I'm just saying, like, I kind of understand what I'm looking at with this one. When you have a stock that is trying to, the short interest is very, very high on this one. Obviously, you guys know that. What we'll see tomorrow will be interesting, but this is going to be a short term play for me personally. But yeah, I bought this morning on a dip down. I think it was around here, around like the 680s, and I said I bought 3 weeks out with $8 calls. So I figured from 680 to 8 was attainable, especially with the options chains looking like it does next week. So I just said, you know what, I will take a flyer on this, and then I'll turn around and take profits. So I took some profits at the end of the day and do that. We'll see how it opens tomorrow, but for me, I'll make some money here, and then I'll put it in cash, or I'll buy more Aterian or DTC or whatever I feel like doing. But I made some money on it. That's good. Hey, Anna, is there any upcoming stuff that can potentially give us volume we need, considering PR isn't likely from them? Yeah, PR for Aterian is not super likely. What I can tell you is this. So we've been in this consolidation pattern for a while, and I told you guys on the MACD, I showed you guys it was starting to cross over, right? So if I zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see it better. So on the awesome, it's starting to shrink down. It's starting to move the other way. We're about to cross over. So my guess was later this week we're going to see more green. We should have a crossover there on the MACD. The RSI is pretty chill down here. And so what we'll probably see is a move up from there. But I think what we discovered inside of doing some DD today and crunching some numbers is there's actually a pretty good case for us moving up, because I think something we realized is there's a lot of data points, and I'm going to have to change this around. Give me 2 seconds, because there's things on here now that I don't think are going to be completely the same. Where it was. Okay. Let me just take this. Divide it by. Give me 2 seconds and I'll get over to you guys so you can see it. where is... So I think what we determined was it was this. So I'm going to put a equals that divided by... Okay. So I think this is going to be kind of hard for a lot of people to follow, but I'll try to do my best to explain my kind of madness and what's going on here. All right. So today we were messing around and we were trying to figure out a couple things. And I think this is probably the more accurate one. So this is what we should probably focus on. Because this is like ideal case, like nobody's lending out shares, but that's probably not likely. So I think this one's probably the more likely one right now. And what's going to happen is if people start registering their stuff with Fintel, I know many people on here probably already have, but if you haven't, what would be very, very interesting would be this number right here. Because this is us basically based off our best calculations. Are what retail holds. And I think this number is small, but at the same time, we're not going to be able to, we're not going to know until we get more stuff registered in Fintel. So we'll see this number either grow or shrink, or not shrink, but grow for the most part, and it will at least have a better accurate, count going in the future. So what you do is you start out with your shares outstanding. You take away insiders' ownership because those are usually held inside the owners' names. We pulled that data from. I don't know if I have it on here, but I think I do. Let me go back and search my own name because I think I posted stuff. There's stuff I have at work that when I write DD and all that stuff I save, and then I don't always have it at home. So. Yeah, let's see. Here. So, this is your insider, according to Aterian Fintel information. These are your shares outstanding. This is your insider ownership representing about 24.55%, right? 21 insider owners. Okay, so we take away that gives you your float, right? Now, the free float is taking away long institutions that are probably not going to be buying and selling. So what we do is this is what came off of the Fintel institutional ownership. And then of this number, we are assuming that 80% of institutions are lending out their shares right now. We don't know that for a fact. It could be much less. It could be more. We don't know. But we figured 80% was a pretty generous and conservative estimate. So that means that of these 19.7 million shares, only about almost 4 million are going to be locked up, but the rest of them are all, probably out on loan. So we right now think that there's about 12 million ownership for retail at this point. It's probably higher than that, but once again, we're trying to be conservative. So we're sitting here going, okay, about half retail probably doesn't know that they can turn off their lending, which we need to probably educate people on because, to be honest with you, lending out shares is not something great unless you like there's no reason you should have your stuff lending unless you're actually making money on it. So like on Webull, I know you can actually turn off that feature. There's a bunch of other, ones that you can sit there and go, like I don't want my shares lent out. So, or you can switch to a cash account, which they're not supposed to lend out your shares if it's in a cash account. I don't know if I'm sure there's loopholes from what I understand. DRSing your shares is the only way to legitimately know that your shares are not being lent out. but I know that's not for everyone. So the next best thing we figured out was this Fintel thing. So what we're looking at right now is if our conservative number is 12 million shares that retail owns, that means that half of them are being lent out probably, right? Now, I'd love for this to be none of them being lent out if everybody was on cash accounts and or at least had disabled their lending on their broker. So if you don't know how to do that, I would recommend contacting your broker and finding out how to do that, because you're basically giving them ammo. But after that, this would be what your free float is after retail ownership. That's stuff that, I think that's a fair number. So right now, the reported short interest off of the Bloomberg S3 Black app, which is a basically add-on to the Bloomberg terminal, is that now I know people are on Ortex and they're not seeing that. They're seeing, I think, like 9 million or 10 million shares. But this is what Bloomberg S3, which is the I think they're called like S3 Partners. They basically specialize in short interest, and that's Ihor, whatever the guy's name is, the guy that everyone in GameStop probably remembers because he was putting out information. And they did adjust their system to actually account for some synthetic longs, but we'll get into that later. But for right now, this is what they're reporting right now as the short interest. So this is probably more accurate than Fintel or Ortex, in my opinion, just because it's coming off of a Bloomberg add-on that they pay a lot of money for. So probably like information most retail doesn't get. So that's good. I mean, that's gone up, that means, and so these numbers are actually better than a lot of people realize. So, make sure I have this right. So it's free float. All right. We'll take that out for right now. So what we can do, let's just do this one right here. So we'll do this equation. So we'll take the short interest divided by the actual attainable number, right? So that's what they probably have. What do they have for Ortex? Is it smaller than that or not? I don't know. Let me look at Ortex real quick. Oops. Oh, this is the estimates for... Yeah, so he's... Let's see how I pronounce his name. I think it's like Reikish or something like that. Reknishram? I don't know how to pronounce it, but he actually gave this to me, and he's been basically trying to figure out what he thinks the next earnings are going to be, based off of like, all these things. And I think he's done a good job on crunching the numbers. So he thinks that the earnings per shares that are going to come out pretty soon are going to be about minus 10 cents, which is actually an improvement. It's closer to what we had here. So. All right. Let me go back, though, to here. Try to get back over here. All right. So what we were trying to figure out here was, looks like somebody's on here. That's fine. This is, I think, right now what the reported free float is going to be. I think this would be... Yeah, so this is, I think, closer to what Ortex has, if I remember correctly. I'm going to pull up Ortex right now just so I can double check. They don't have the 12 million listed, I don't think, which is the difference between the two. But they will probably in the next update. All right, shorts. Yeah, so they're still reporting basically 10 million, even though they're going the wrong way, essentially. But what we're going to see going forward is like... Let me see if this equation is reported off that. Yeah. So we could be looking at the short interest being anywhere between basically 42 and up to like 70% if you take away, retail. Once we've established how much retail owns, and if retail starts making sure they disable, So if you're on margin, for example, if you have another account and you can transfer it into a cash account and just hold your Aterian shares in there, that would be preferable. That way you can still play with margin and you can still do other things, but if you could keep your Aterian shares out of there, this is not financial advice, but I'm just saying this is something you could do to basically make sure those shares are not being lent out. But basically taking away ammo is kind of the idea for most of this. So what you're going to see now is you will probably go through and we're going to see somewhere between the short interest in this range. Now, I know that's a lot. I think the Ortex I'm looking at says 35%. I think the actual number, because they're not using this right here, this new updated from the S3 Black app, thing, they'll probably get their numbers. This will be closer to what it gets reported on the next, what's today right now? So on the 15th, around the 15th, we should see a number closer to probably this. And then Ortex will have to adjust their numbers. But we're getting this information ahead of time because these guys do probably a little bit better job of actually updating and keeping track of the stuff than Ortex does. All right, so there's that. So, yeah, there's some stuff that will come that will bring some volume. And I think once the DD comes out and we kind of present you guys with, we're seeing a lot of interesting stuff that we're getting from Fish's, and I want to give Fish full credit. He's been able to provide us with a ton of stuff that we as retail normally would never see, because this stuff costs a good chunk of money. Like the Bloomberg itself is like $2,000 a month, and then on top of that, we're looking at like whatever the addition of the black box or black app, whatever the SE black app is, cost. So we're getting really good information that we normally don't get. So there, you can even see up here, short interest daily, the weekly. So they're adding to this short. All right, so he was just showing me that one was Tesla, right? Let's see. Okay, so here's the days to cover. Looks like days to cover right now is going up, obviously, because the volume has been slowing down. So, let's see. Utilization is still pinned at the top. They basically have it at 97. Ortex has been having it at 100%, but, it's basically just pinned to the top. There's very, very little shares out there, unless, people are starting to lose faith. But I'm telling you right now, the more and more I'm reaching into this, you can see what's going on here. And that is, these guys are basically trying to get people to sell. They're shaking the tree, and you can see it on some of this information here, right? So here's Aterian, right? It's got a high squeeze score. Right now, they're reporting short shares are 12.29 million. Here's your stuff right here. And then if you look right here, obviously the shorting has remained high. There's only been 2 instances of covering here, and that was last month. There's a tiny, tiny little bit here, and really they haven't been covering anything. So they're just actually adding right now to the shorts. So here's the short interest. It's actually going up again because they're trying to shake the tree out. Here's your financing. And here's your S3 float. So what this is showing you is their estimation of their float compared to the actual float. Now, the only thing I need to verify is they have the float as something that's higher than what we have. And I had to figure out why that is, because the number they're using is 54.6 million here, right? And what we've been using is the information off of Fintel, which is, I showed you guys earlier, but I think I can go back to it. This one, right? Can I zoom in on this? There we go. Yeah, so we use this number, which is the Fintel Insider Shares. But if you take away, right, down here, if you take away the 63 million shares outstanding and you minus out 15 million, you get 48, not 54. So I'm not sure why they're counting not enough. They're not counting enough insiders, according to this. Or somebody's made a mistake. Either they made a mistake or Fintel made a mistake. And so we need to figure out the difference between the two. So I'm going to go through Fish's information on the ownership, and we'll try to figure that out. But this is all good stuff. Like, this is showing you basically the difference between these two is what they have to make up. Like, they have to make up these shares, the difference between these two. And he's going back into history, and he's going to find out when these two diverge so much. Because obviously this has been a while. Like, I mean, you can see right here, like, it's been elevated for a long time. So they've had this gap for a long time. Like, I think I saw old documents that they've had it for months and months and months. Let me see if there's anything new. All right. So you guys also have seen, I put this out in the DD, but, you know, Morningstar's analysis says that, you know, Aterian's at a 75% discount. They have a fair value of around $12, and we just closed at $3, so undervalued. And then, you know, I won't post the other ones because it has his name on it, but I do have all that information. So let's see. So this one is, I guess, earnings maybe, their anticipation. Last posted. Yeah, so I'll read through all these and I'll try to write up a summary on all the analysis, but I'm going to be putting out a DD tomorrow with more information, so. But yeah, we've got some good things to look forward to, and I think for a while, a lot of people, all the people who basically got shaken out are already out now. Like, if you're still hanging in there and you're chilling out, you know what's going on because we've been down here before. Like, we hit this spring down here and then we launched to 7. You're going to see the same consolidation, and then, I mean, they're adding more shorts, and so people are like, "Oh, the short interest is going down." It's actually not. So you just need to know your facts, and you need to look at the data. And luckily, because of Fish, we have access to Bloomberg and S3 and all this other good stuff that we're able to compare now and see, you know, maybe, you know, at least give people the right information. Yep, Redbox is up as well. Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I told you guys, I at least told some of you guys, I bought in, I looked at the options chain, and I was like, all right, this thing can run a little bit more. So I bought the dip today at one point. Let me just pull up the 1 minute. I bought the dip down here, and I said, all right, I see the options chains. I think this thing's got momentum. I'm just going to go ahead and buy some $8 calls 3 weeks out, and then I sold a couple here, and I sold a couple here at the very end of the day, and I made a couple grand off that. And then I still have about 15 left as like a YOLO, see what happens tomorrow. But the position's already paid for itself, so I'm already profitable, and whatever's left now is just going to be, hold on to it and see what happens. So I think it's got a little bit more to run. I'm gonna probably get out personally around 10. That's just like where I'm comfortable, because from there I basically made a good chunk of money, and I'm not, I'm not trying to be greedy with this one, because I don't want to sit there and hold bags on this thing, because personally for me, I don't think the company's got a great business model going forward. I know they're trying to switch, and but like, this is not one I'd want to buy and hold up here at these price levels when I don't think they justify it fundamentally. So I'm fine playing this as a squeeze and a squeeze alone, and I'll probably take profits all the way up, and then I'll be out. So that's just my personal opinion. You guys, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So I'll play this for the short term, because I do think there is some oomph behind it, but I don't know how much further it goes. I know somebody said that the warrants got pushed, and I haven't seen. Let me see if I can find an update on that, because I did read somebody telling the group that the warrants got changed, because they did have warrants up at. Let me see if I can find it. They still have the warrants at 1150, and they still have the April warrants are not registered, so those can't hurt you. So, but they do still have 16.84 million warrants at 1150, and I have not seen anything else. Let's see. So, right now, receiving 0.87 shares of CSS and merge share of Robux will be worth about 70 per share. And the stock's trading at $8. So I'm in this short term. We'll see. I mean, I know they do have a lot of like ownership, and the SI is like huge on it. But I'm not planning on holding it long term, if that's what you're asking. What's ATER's max pain? Okay, so Aterian's max pain is. If I just look at the options, I'm sure I could probably just tell you based off the options chains. But let's just take a look. I'm seeing $3 as max pain. Let's see what Stock Ninja says. $3. Plethora has it at $3. So everyone's got it at $3. Swaggy's got it at. Not showing it. Chart Exchange showing it at $3. And guess where the stock is? $3. Yep. So we're sitting at max pain right now. It could go a little bit higher, just based off of where we are on the MACD and the the stochastics, but and also crossing over on the TTM. But we'll see. So yeah, Fish just wrote me and said, let me see if I can pull this up. So I'm not. So they have a percentile ranking for short squeeze interest or indicators, and a score of 91 means that only 9% of stocks have a higher likelihood of squeeze in the next 30 days. So they still have it as a 91 on the squeeze score. And I think, if I remember correctly, Fintel has it as a 92%. Let's just double check and make sure that's correct. And I did see that Aterian's Fintel ownership did go up. So good job, you guys that are starting to register your stuff there. All right, short interest. Fintel's got us ranked as a 92 on the short squeeze score, And they took away the gamma one for some reason. Huh. Wonder why that is. The gamma's missing. It was there yesterday. So for some reason they removed the gamma score on Aterian. All sorts of things. Maybe they were redoing it. All right. So, any HUSA? Let's take a look. Yeah, obviously they're going up too. Let's take a look at the hourly on them. So they really just had a nice day. That kind of looks like red box, to be honest with you. If I had to put up like two charts, let's see. Put up red box. And I was going to say on the hourly. It looks similar. Not exactly. But they both kind of paused here in the middle and then had a nice run at the end of the day. Run in after hours. No run in after hours here. All right, let me just take a look. I'll be nice and we'll just make sure there's nothing like glaring. Let's see. So that's Houston Energy. So I don't see any like immediate red flags. They do have warrants, but they're not registered. They depleted all their Series B convertibles and their Series A convertibles. They depleted all their ATMs already. They still have a shelf, but I mean, they're in pretty good shape as far as they don't really need cash. They actually have about, I mean, it looks like they're almost like positive on that. So, yeah, I don't see anything glaring with them. You got a small float as well. It's just like a small energy producer, it looks like. Oil and gas out of the Gulf Coast, Texas, Louisiana. Yeah, I mean, 11% short interest. I don't know why you'd short a gas company right now, unless they had some real problems. But yeah, they look pretty decent. All right, let me do this real quick. Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, to me they look pretty healthy. Let's go here real quick. All right. Let's go back. Who wants other stuff to look at? What do you think for Redbox? Do you think it will be like GME or AMC? I personally think so. It might be risky, but YOLO. No, I don't think it will be like either one of those two. The problem with Redbox is, number one, the company behind it, they already are going to go through a merger, right? So the merger is set, and they're supposed to get 70 cents per share. Like, so they're squeezing, but like these things, like usually with those things are set. Right? So, like, if it goes too expensive, then they won't go through the merger. And so what they'll do is they'll push it down. Like, that's typically what happens. Like, mergers are risky. So I wouldn't mess with this one long term, personally. I do not think it's going to be like a GameStop or AMC. At the end of the day, GameStop and AMC are both technically still viable companies. I don't know if Redbox is. In the future, it could be. But right now, to me, it's a dead business. I mean, they were just bleeding cash. So they've got warrants up here that I'm sure they're going to try to unlock at $11.50. I didn't see anything saying that those warrants are off the table, because to me, those warrants are still there. I'm looking at 16.84 million warrants at $11.50. So that's why I'm jumping out at like 10.50 maybe, pushing it. But like, I expect them to basically maybe hit 11.50, maybe go slightly higher, and then they'll dump about 11 or 16 million shares onto the public, and that will kill the squeeze. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, someone wanted to know about AMC. Let's take a look real quick. Is a bull flag forming? No, let me move to a different time frame. I mean, let's try 15-minute. Yeah, I mean, I could see kind of. I mean, you kind of had one here, consolidation. You moved. Typically, this is going to move up in waves. Let's go back in their history so you can kind of see. I guess it won't let me do that. So let me try it on the hourly. Yeah, so if you notice, whenever you see these things, they typically will go up in waves when they do it. Just like when they go down, they do them, they don't go straight down, straight up. What you'll usually see is like ledges that get built out. Let's go on the 5-minute. Yeah, so like here, bull flag, then you had the next run up. Going into the end of the day is a little bit hard because we'll have to see what happens in pre-market tomorrow. But, it'd be nice to see this stock get back up to, we didn't get back up to that level again. What day was that? I'm just curious if they did that. Let me go back real quick. So this was... So today's Tuesday, Monday, Friday. So that was at the beginning of the week, right? Is that right? What was this? So this was the Friday, right? So Friday right here. Friday, so this was Tuesday, right? Oh, that's right. We had the long weekend, right? So it started out, hit a high, everyone kind of FOMO'd in, and they dumped. And they've been kind of just nailing the stock down over the last couple of days into Friday. And then, so that was an OPEX, so that's probably why they did that, right? Because here was Thursday and here was Friday. So they did finish up on Friday. And then that Tuesday, they dumped down. Wednesday, they dumped. Consolidation day. And then dump on Friday, right? And then Monday dump down, but Tuesday rise back up to basically where they were on Friday. So, bull flag. I mean, we'll see in the pre-market. What time frame were you looking at, the alpha, Chad? Overmining. I want to learn something. You said the red box warrants are 11.50. They're at 11.50, not 11. So with warrants, as soon as they hit the warrant price, those can be exercised, right? And what warrants are doing is just like they basically increase the float, which dilutes the stock. So as soon as those warrants hit and start dumping onto the market, it will instantly start driving down the price of the stock. Because what's going to happen is you'll see the shares outstanding increase. And what you're seeing then at that point is once your shares outstanding start going up, that means your float changes, all these things change. So that's why. So, but yeah, if you can like the stream, that'd be great. You give us, a chance to maybe get this in front of more people and we can kind of talk about meme stocks and all this stuff. So is it just my phone or is all this blurry for everyone else? If you actually go to resolution GW, what you can do is you can go down to, I think there's like a gear icon on the settings, and you can choose the quality, and you can move that all the way up to 1080p, and that should be a clearer image for you. Because, yeah, if you're doing it on a phone, a lot of times your phone will default to like, something really, really like not clear, which would be like... I think my phone sometimes defaults to 360p, and you really want to be watching this in 1080p because it's all this stuff's small and it's hard to see. Maybe I'll switch back to Weeble for right now because it's easier for people to eye up and see a little bit when I do this. Okay, moving on. Robinhood's easy to shut off lending. Yeah, so if you can shut off lending, don't let these guys have ammo. Like, honestly, like, F them. Like, don't give them ammo. Like, if you have Weeble, you can disable lending. If you have Robinhood, you can disable lending. You can be in an all cash account if you're on some of these other brokers. If you're not getting paid for them lending out your shares, you should be. And if you don't want them to lend out your shares, then you should not, honestly, don't let these guys make money off you. They make enough money off you because they screw you over all the time. Your brokerage screws you over more than any hedge fund ever will. And that's the truth. Your brokers are not on your side. And I've explained this. When they decide that they don't want to buy your shares at a certain price and then they wait and eat the FTDs so they can wait till the stock price goes down, yeah, and then they pocket the difference, what you paid, if they can get you to sell, yeah, they're not good guys in this situation. I personally, if I had the money, I'd figure out a way of making a brokerage that was like for retail, by retail, because I don't trust any of these guys. And I think any smart retailers would go to that platform. But I don't have any money to do that, so that's fine. But yeah, that's the dream, is someday evening the playing field, routing everything through lit exchanges and, having the market be a lot evener on the playing field. They already have all the money, but there's other things that the fact that retail's trades, most of them, like 90 to 95% of their trades go to wholesalers and go off exchange, means that they never see the lit market at all. So that's not a good thing. All right, what's up, Yes? What's up, Matt? Aside from the SIN cost to borrow for Redbox, does it have enough retail community and fundamentals to squeeze? It's going to move up to probably 1150 and then dump. That's my take on it. I know other people are going to be like to the moon and all this stuff, but like you've got 16 million warrants sitting at 1150. Like as soon as it starts touching there, they may let it run a little bit past that, because I know BBAI, they let that happen a little bit and then they just dumped them. Like just to show you guys. So BBAI is actually a good company. See this up here? So they had warrants at 12, I think. Was that 12? I'll have to double check and find out. But I'm pretty sure they had warrants sitting at like 12, and they let it run all the way up to 16 before they dumped on them. So I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that whenever I see warrants involved, and as soon as they're trying to like get up to a certain level, then they dump. So you may see a little bit past 1150, but to me, I wouldn't play with that fire. Like I would be making my money and getting out. But once again, that's just my personal trading thing. You can see they hit 11 and dumped down that day. And they want to get their, so that you have an underwriter whenever you have these warrants, and these underwriters are actually allowed to pump out the stock, like legally somehow. There's a clause in there that says that they're able to get their money out. So this just may be somebody pumping up the stock to get their money out, and then as soon as they get their money out, they're going to dump it. So could be an underwriter doing that, but everyone should know how this all works. Okay, what's up, Luther? What's up, Spooner? Your fish. I know you've already covered this, but assuming the drop from 45% to 35% over the last couple of weeks is false, or is that something else? So I think what people need to realize is there was some shorts that covered, and they were covering probably through either an institution or retail selling, right? So they were able to get some shares back. But here's the thing with Aterian, those actually went back up again. So, right, what you're seeing is they've been trying to drive down the stock price. And the market was doing a good job, but they didn't get it down to where they want. They want to shake this tree hard. They want to get retail out. And what's ending up happening is they're having to now use shorts again to push the stock down, because there are people that are buying the shares under $3. So, these days where it was sitting there in the twos, people are starting to trickle in and buy some stuff, average down. They may be painstakingly hating doing it because they're like, oh, this could go down even more. But what's ending up happening is these shorts are actually having to re-short again, because the stock market's kind of been going back up. So they need to actually use short interest again to drive the price down to shake out the tree. So I think what we're going to see is you'll see the next exchange reported data go up again. So Ortex is reporting 9% or 9.9% million shares shorted, right? Well, that number is probably closer to 12. So could you discuss payment for order flow? Oh, John, that's like a whole long thing, and I'll I'll need to dedicate some time to that. I promise you. Let me do this. Let me go ahead and read the proposed changes because I haven't had time to do that today. I was working on Aterian's float and a couple other stocks and starting to write some DD. So I didn't have time to dive into it. I just saw the headlines come across that Gary Gensler was considering it for this upcoming week. But I'll dive into that tonight or tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow come back and ask me, and I'll see if I have a better answer for you. That way, at least I don't want to just all of a sudden make up something and give you guys bunk information. I want to do my research because I don't want to talk about something on the fly and then get something possibly wrong. So, all right, what's up, Becca? How are you? Hello. All right, I got a friend to grab 17,700 shares yesterday at 292. Hey, that's a nice position. Make sure he gets on Fintel. And if somebody can link how to do it or the DD to Reddit where they explain how to do that, you want to register all these shares because you know what? Why not? It's not hurting anything. Anyone that's dealt with Plaid, I've dealt with Plaid. I remember when I signed up for, I think it's called a firm. It's a lending thing. Like I was financing some like item. I can't remember what it was. I think it was my refrigerator. I was financing because we got like a really nice, expensive refrigerator. I didn't have all the cash at the time to buy it, so I financed part of it. And I got an account with a firm, and they had me sign up with Plaid. I'm like, all right, so that's the same thing that's basically giving you this login. So it's pretty normal there. Okay, I pinned it here also on the Reddit forum, but I will go ahead and link this in the comments right now. And if you guys can like and subscribe, that'd be awesome. But go ahead and check out this thing. Make sure your friend goes there and actually gets his shares registered. Because obviously every little bit counts, and so if he's got 17,000 shares, I'd like to see those ones hit those Fintel numbers. Okay. What do I think about 201 people owning 6% of the Aterian float? I think that's pretty cool, and I'd like to see what happens when we have thousands of people doing it. I'm sure those numbers will spike pretty nicely. Yeah, let me just pull this up real quick because I can pull up retail ownership. We get to track this now. It's a fun thing, right? So I see right now retail owns 6.7% of Aterian's free float. Yep. So if you want to do that, right, if we do the math on that, what is that? So if we take they're reporting the free float on Fintel as, I will find this out for you in a second. Hold on. Unless somebody has it offhand, but I think they have it at somewhere around 28 million, maybe. So they're reporting it at 30 million for some reason. I don't know why, but it was 28 for a while. But let's go off their numbers. So that means that if their free float is 0.90, right, 30 million, and we do 0.067. That's 2 million shares that retail just registered in the last couple of weeks. I guess it was 2 weeks, right? So in 2 weeks' time, retail's registered 2 million shares so far. And that's not obviously everyone. That was only 200 people to start with. So that's pretty impressive that off 200 people, they own 6% of the float. Now let's see what happens when everyone else does it. Like the stream. Like sometimes. All right. So we are the tree. Also, do you think we're going to get back on Reg Show? Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before we go back on Reg Show. I showed you guys AMC went on and off like 7 times before it squeezed. So half these memes are bound to fail in the way it's unpredictable for real. Some people have to admit some of these stocks are just there to sunshine. They don't. A lot of people think this is going to last forever. So I think it really matters. You have to figure out, Jay, do you believe, for example, I think GameStop probably has the best shot at becoming an actual successful company down the line out of all these ones, just because they've got $1 billion cash, they've got good management, they've got a good board, and to be honest with you, all they have to do is figure out a way to get all these people who are buying their stock to buy products of theirs. And a lot of these people that are buying the stock are gamers, and they want to spend money at GameStop. They just have to give them a good reason why to. I think AMC has a decent shot of obviously recovering. They have a little bit farther road to go, but overall, they've got a really loyal base who will continue to go see movies and stuff like that. I mean, if they introduce some sort of streaming service, they'll probably all sign up for it. And they'll be able to make some money, and so they'll be able to turn their ship around. So I think both of them can be viable down the line. I think there's a whole bunch of stocks that a little bit harder path, but like BBBY, they're still alive. I mean, I think fundamentally these guys are undervalued right now. I know retail is going to get beat up as far as especially brick and mortar, but this is one where down the line, I'm not sure how long I'll hold this one, but I do think in the short term they have a reversal going. This was oversold here. This is a stock that still does a couple billion in sales. So, it's not dead. It's not, it's brick and mortar, but it's not dead. And this is the lowest it's been in a while. And I'm actually, anticipating that either we're going to see a double bottom here at 739, and then we go from there, or we're going to go ahead and just see it reverse up and start, reclaiming some of these areas back in the 20s. But yeah, let's see. All right, can you explain how the warrants hurt us on Redbox? Yeah, so, I mean, legitimately, warrants are dilutive in nature. So, as soon as a warrant is eligible, they can exercise those warrants. Exercising those warrants basically gives them those shares, right? As soon as those shares hit, they become part of the float, and that's dilutive. So that means that the shares will actually go, everything will go down in value because you're adding more. Imagine this, if you've got a slice of pie, right? And you've got all these different little slices, right? This is how your shares work, right? Well, if you keep slicing up this pie and it doesn't get any bigger, your stuff's worth less. You're getting less per, right? So that's one way of looking at it, is if all of a sudden now you have 250 million shares, are your shares still worth as much? No, your shares are worth much, much less. So if you go from a float of 60 million shares all the way up to 250 million shares, every one of those shares is worth a lot less. So they have 16 million shares on, what does Redbox have for their float? It's something small, right? It's 8 million. So you're basically over doubling your float overnight. If those all gets unleashed up there. So you think about that. All of a sudden you went from an 8 million float to a 20-something million float. That's pretty dilutive. So that's why the stock price will go down. And that's why as soon as you hit those warrant prices, you'll probably drop, because they can let it run for a little bit. If you guys want to see. Oops, that's not the right one. They can let the stock run a little bit. That's not the right one either. There we go. But what's going to happen is you're going to see it. It will even look like this. You'll run up to the 1151, and your candle will look something like this, where all of a sudden it will just start dropping. So, all right. Thoughts on IMPP. So it's a petrol. Let's see. So obviously it already ran up pretty heavily here. Was this a squeeze play there, GW? Kind of looks like it. Let's see if there's anything glaring. Okay, so 5% short interest. They have a huge amount of warrants. In fact, they're doing an offering. So they've priced out a couple offerings. They also have a huge amount of warrants at 55 a share. So I'm going to let you know right now. Let's see. So you've got May 22 warrants at 55 cents, 72 million of them. You've got March warrants, 43 million at $1.60. And you've got January 22 warrants at $1.25. So what's going to happen is you're going to have dilution all throughout here. So you're going to be bouncing around here. You might run up a little bit and then bounce back more. They're diluting the stock right now. So, and you already are under, yeah. So this stock is going to all of a sudden have a really, really big float. And they're cash positive, so I don't know why they sold so many of those shares and those warrants at those prices. Like they had enough cash, they were cash positive, so I don't know why they're doing that. Unless they're really having huge amounts of, like they're planning on doing some big operation down the line. But at this point right now, I can tell you on the short term. Just looking at this, it looks like this stochastic's about to cross down. Your MACD did go green for a little bit. You might see some chopping and consolidation, but at this point right now, you have a ton of warrants that are sitting over your head. You've got 72 million warrants at a 55-cent price. That means it won't run much higher before those ones start run. You might see 80s, maybe $1, and then they'll start exercising those warrants to bring it back down. And until those 72 million shares are going, that money's not going anywhere. So that's my thoughts. And could you mention the Redbox warrants again? Okay, hold on. I mean, if someone's got any evidence to contradict me, that's totally fine. You can totally bring it up. I'm just going off of what I saw, which is as of right now, I don't see anything with the red box that has changed that says that those warrants are not active anymore, because I'm still seeing 16.8 million shares at an exercise price of $11.50, and those were from October 22nd last year, and they have expiration dates for 2026. So let me just see what Fish posted in the Discord. Can you link me what we're talking about? Is it in the Redbox channel or? Where's Redbox? All right. I just wrote and asked them about the warrants in there. Maybe somebody's done more research than me, but let's see. All right. Spooner, tell me where the Redbox stuff that you want me to ask about. Oh, you're saying two separate things. Can you tell me about the data from the Discord? I don't know what he posted, so you have to tell me what he did. And then the market's prepped to take a giant crap. Yeah, I agree with that. Jay, you're probably new here. I covered this yesterday, but I basically said I drew a line out here. This is my first target, is down here. There are gaps here in the 340s that were all left from the election cycle. Those are going to fill. And so what I see happening is we may run up into like maybe even the 420s, 430s, and then we're going to dump. And we'll be down here, and then we'll possibly dump even further down. And I could see us going to the 480s. Sorry, not the 280s, possibly, in the next couple months or year. But at some point, we're going to be down here again. So that's why I'm telling people, make sure you have a plan, because, on green days, I am buying SPXU and some other things to hedge my portfolio. And so you probably should learn about that kind of stuff. When you have questions, you can go inside and you can learn, in the Discord, but you should definitely take a look at that. Let's see. Any thoughts on... You guys have all these new tickers. I've never heard of this one. ARCH. Obviously, 117 start. And it's been sitting down here. AeroClean Technologies. I mean, obviously, it just jumped. So the question is, why did it jump these last 2 days? Was there news? Was there a catalyst? Does anyone know? I'm going to go ahead and just see if there's anything glaring on this one as far as like risk. AeroClean Technologies. So only 1.4% short. Not a lot of institutional ownership, though. That's interesting. Small float. They have a cash position of around like 16 million quarterly cash burn. So they've got about for 2 years. And doesn't seem like they have any dilution. So the question is, they are a pathogen elimination technology company. They have a air sanitation product called Purgo. It's a hospital, offices. They work with best-in-class aerospace engineers, medical scientists, and innovators, powered by sterile duct, medical grade, eradicating viral, fungal, and bacterial pathogens. They want to basically clean up the air. I don't see any dilution on them. I mean, obviously this has ran up a lot. So the question is, why? Why now? Is there any news on this one? But all right. Thanks for putting this in. Lots to learn. Any chance you can just describe days to cover? It seems like it's always changing. Yeah, so days to cover is pretty simple. Basically, your days to cover on short interest is determined on how long they think it takes for them to cover a short position. So obviously, when you have a really high volume, that number is going to basically bring the days to cover down, because the more volume you get, the faster it would take them to actually close out those positions. The ones that when you see typically something's really like, so on this stock right here, right, days to cover would have been completely really high because you've got no volume, right? So you look at the volume, right? You got no volume at all here, no volume. Then you've started to get some volume here, right? So you've got some volume all of a sudden out of nowhere on this stock. So the days to cover would start coming down, because remember, during this time, it would take a lot more days to actually cover because there's no volume. But as soon as you start getting volume, your days to cover is going to shoot down, because it will, when you actually have some volume on the stock, it will go ahead and, take less time to cover. So that's what DTC means, days to cover. There you go, Daniel. All right, killer. Thanks, bro. Yep. 1080p worked. Good stuff. I think Robinhood, you have to have a particular type to shut it off. Cash only it should keep you off that, but you have to disable it, I believe. I haven't used Robinhood in a long time, so I don't know. And if you find a way to start a brokerage for retail, we'll definitely invest in your startup. Yeah, I mean, I personally, for me, it's not about money. It's about the right thing, and most of the time, these guys aren't doing the right thing. So, I came on the stream late. How are we looking on Aterian? We're looking okay. I mean, I think obviously we had a green day, so that's always good. But and after hours, it got negated. But at the same time, I'm just letting you guys know that there's some. I'm going to be putting out some DD probably tomorrow, and I think once people see the numbers, they'll feel a little bit better because they're looking at Ortex, which is putting out old numbers, and we are now using the extension off of Bloomberg, which Fish has generously allowed us to do. So that's a good thing. Yeah, people got the Mueller coffee grinder from Aterian. Yeah, it's very well built. Very impressed. There you go. Thanks for taking the time to speak on IMPPV. I've been holding in the 40s, trying not to get greedy. Yeah, if you can get out on that one, even in the anything, but just remember those warrants are sitting there at like 55 cents or whatever I told you it was earlier. I don't have the screen up anymore, but they may let it run a little bit higher. But if you can get in and out on that one, you could always buy back in once those warrants are all used. So, and you should see the float change and everything else because that's going to be dilutive. So. News, FDA approval. Okay, so they got FDA approval. That's what happened with the last stock. What was the ticker on that again? It was Aeroclean. Okay, that makes sense. Well, good on you if you've owned that for a while and it finally went back up. So. When ATER Moon. Just hold and be patient. If you're able to average down, you can do that. Get yourself profitable sooner. Obviously, that's not financial advice. That's just any stock. If you like the stock and if you can buy it at low prices, it will make you profitable sooner. So those air filters played a big role during the height of the pandemic. COVID infections spiked this fall. They'll make bank. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything glaring on the company. They don't have any warrants that I saw. I don't see anything. It looks like, they had an offering that they already completed. It was a Regulation A plus an IPO, $10 a share. As far as I can see, I don't see any glaring things on them. They could use a little bit more cash, but I mean, it's not. They don't need it. Just if they're going to do something bigger, then they probably will issue out some more shares. They've got a tiny float right now, so you could see dilution in the future if they're growing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a matter of like they're going to hopefully make that money go to use to make more money. So, laugh out loud. I do have a plan in on wait till the market crashes again, then buy more stuff. Hey, there you go. Aeroclean was granted a FDA approval, 501K. It's a Pyrotech medical device. Okay, cool. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, if people want to look at that one, that's more than, they have already ran up a good amount, but I'll see if they, I'll add it to my watch list and we'll keep an eye on them. All right. May I ask a question that's unrelated to stocks mentioned in the caption? Sure. What's going on? What's your question? What's up, Hyun? What's up, Jason? Arrow moon to 15 after hours and then down to 11. Kirkland. Can you bring up Kirkland in the chart? See if it's a buy. Yeah, so That's an interesting one because obviously, is that that's different than Costco, or is it? Is this at Kirkland's? You're not talking about Costco, right? You're talking about Kirkland. Is this the ticker? You have to let me know if this is the right ticker. Okay. So let's take a look at them real quick. What made you eye this stock? They are a specialty retailer in home decor, operating 371 stores in 35 states, as well as e-commerce. They make furniture, decor, fragrances, lamps, other home decorating items, holiday seasonal stuff, modern flair. Looks like they must have done some sort of... Did they do a share buyback or what? It looks like their outstanding shares have actually gone down. Okay, so what I can tell you right now is these guys need money. Just eyeing this right now is they have no cash. So you are likely to see... The reason why this has just been dying and going down is... All right, so let's see. When was the last time they were doing something good? They were up here in the 30s, right? And then they had this huge dump right here. And that was right before an earnings call. And they must have missed on this earnings. And then since then, they've been basically bleeding. What I can tell you right now is they need money badly, Reza. It looks like, just eyeing it, they've got about 24% short interest on the stock, but their prorated operating cash flow right now is negative $33 million. They had a cash flow estimate of the last one of about negative $28 million, and they're burning about $43 million a quarter. So they've ran out of money. So at this point, the reason why the stock's down here is because they know that at some point they're going to probably have to issue out shares or some sort of way of... I don't know what the revolving finance looks like. It doesn't say on here, but it looks like at this point right now they've been bleeding money, and they need to probably issue out shares to raise some cash because they can't sustain this. At this point right now, they're burning way more money than they're pulling in. So I didn't look at their balance sheet, but I can tell you right now, just eyeing it, that's why they've gone down so much. So they're in the rough spot right now, and they're going to probably need some cash very soon. And obviously shorts have picked up on that because they've been... Yeah, price and cash is high at the moment. Yeah, they need cash very, very badly. I mean, their market cap right now is like beaten. Yeah, I would wait though if you're, this is one that looks even worse. I mean, I'd have to look at the balance sheet and really kind of dig in, but these guys look like they're in rough shape. And I mean, they've got a market cap right now of less than $60 million. So, what did you want to know about Kirk? Right now, their short interest is about 33% of their free float. They're at 100% utilization. Let's see. The cost to borrow is tiny. It's like 3%. Right now, 8 or 9 days to cover. What? Yeah, I mean, you can see basically as of... You can watch basically where the shorts really went in on them. and they've been driving down the price because you can see the estimated short interest going up, and you can see their security going down. At this point right now, the one thing that's going for them is, I mean, obviously, they don't have a huge float, so they could be squeezed by somebody else if that was going to be a thing. It looks like there's floats only 12 million shares. It looks like institutions own about 62% of them. So, I mean, this is one that, like, if retail took an interest in it, then, yeah, I mean, but they need cash so badly that they would issue out an ATM in a second. Let me just see. I'm sure they have a shelf. They don't have a shelf that I see, but they could get one real quickly. I'm sure it's in their bylaws or not in the like intro documents. They probably have some sort of thing there. They don't have any current filings, but they could very easily very soon because of their cash situation. So, if retail did, for example, try to go in on them, that would be a very low float stock. Because I'm just trying to do the math on this real quick. Just seeing. I mean, it's interesting. So Kirkland's. Yeah, I'm not real familiar with them, but I'm just taking a look. Insiders own about 5 million shares, which is about 43% of their ownership, right? So let's do the quick math on this just for fun. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just showing you guys the numbers. So we have 12,727,615, and then you take away 5,579,8, right? I think that's right. Okay, so that's your float. Your float's about 7.1 million right there. And then how many institutional owners do we have? It says here that the institutional ownership is, of course it is. They're showing 10 million shares, almost 11 million shares long. Which means that technically, now here's the thing. So these guys are filing 13Ds, 13Gs. Interesting. BlackRock and Renaissance both have bought in on this. That could be interesting. Let's see. Now, are any of these guys... I just want to see, are any of these guys insiders? ASEAN Partners, they might be an insider. So some of this stuff might be double counted. I'd have to dig into this, but my guess would be that this could be squeezed. Like, if, but you'd have to get a whole bunch of, retail interest on this. But this is something small enough that, yeah, it could squeeze. I did see that. When I typed in the short information, they've got a squeeze score of 88, which is slightly less than Aterian's. They don't have any shares available right now. They have the cost to borrow though is really small, so obviously they still have some float left to they're playing with, but they are getting a good amount of shorts every single day. They're just driving the price of the stock down. But could this be a rebound, and then they push it up? Yeah, no one's looking at the stock. So, but at this point right now, they don't really have much failure to delivers. I just wanted to see this one thing right here, though. So Blackstone's one of the ones shorting it. I just want to see. So Citadel is one of the top short positions. Group 1 Trading, Susquehanna, Peak 6 Investments, Simplex Trading, Wolverine, Jane Street. It's always the same guys, isn't it? Yeah, and they've been driving down the stock price. Now I just want to squeeze them just because Citadel and all these guys are the ones on the other side. It's fine. That's a joke. I'm not really doing that. But I'm just looking at this. So 2.8 million shares shorted right now. Yeah, I mean, I saw an article last week that the top three squeeze plays were Redbox, Aterian, and Solo, which is DTC. Is that like publicity for us? I mean, it's good, but at the same time, I think it's like the street wrote that, so it's not like a reputable It'd be nice if it was, but yeah, Redbox traded like probably over their float multiple times. That's what happens when you have a high flying stock. You're going to see people going in and out on it and stuff like that. So okay, so somebody sent me something on. All right. No, it's fine. I was going to say, I mean, at this point right now, I mean, I'm coming up to the end of the time when I normally come on, so glad to be holding ATER and DTC. Yeah, I was going to say, so personally, we didn't really talk about DTC today, so let's just cover that at the end. Okay. DTC, right? This one's interesting. Solo brands. So if you look here, they were completely oversold on the RSI on the daily, and they've now bounced up, right? And they're coming back down. But what we think is going to end up happening on these guys is they don't have much of a float. And that means that liquidity is very, very, hard to come by. And that's why the bid-ask spread is so great on some of these, ones that don't have a whole lot of liquidity. You'll actually see it bouncing up and down, right? So it doesn't take a lot to move the stock. Like a couple thousand, shares here or there, and this stock flies around either way. Someone sells a couple thousand shares, the stock tanks like 20, 30 cents. Someone buys a couple thousand shares, stock moves up 20, 30 cents. Like it's just, this stock has no liquidity. Like you'll see this jumping like a lot. So what's going on with it, right? So we had pulled out, see if I can pull up the, I haven't updated this in a while, but all right. Let's see. Yeah, so we had the float here. Insider ownership right here, so that leaves about 7.7 million after the institutions, and I think that's what a bunch of other people have. We're listing institutional ownership at this number, which is crazy to me, but I don't know how else to. These are all supposed to be Class A shares, which means that the float is actually negative. Like, technically, this is what you're supposed to do. Now, I'm sure some of these shares are lent out, but you're supposed to do your right. This. No, it's actually this. It's supposed to be this divided by. Or actually, it's minus, right? Hold on. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right. It's getting later. That's not right. Figure out what I'm doing here. All right. So that's because this is institutional ownership. So this should be our free float. Then on here, what we figured out was if you categorize all the ones, they add up and have a negative float. So yeah, I think here's what I need to do. So we established these ones right here. Oh, somebody edited this. So maybe did they change this? Because I don't see up higher. There it is. Okay, I know what happened. Somebody moved this around, and I haven't. Let's sort to the other way around. Okay. So we know these guys right here are insiders, right? And look how much they add up to, 48 million. So this is part of the problem for this particular stock. Anon, are you still holding Aterian? Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, Redbox is going to be done probably tomorrow, is my guess. If we see it move up to 11 or 11.50, we'll probably go ahead and see those warrants get exercised, and then the stock will dump. So I'm actually I only have about 15 calls left, and then I'll be selling them tomorrow if they move up. If not, then I'll just, I'll sell them for, I've already got out with my money and some profit. So for that one, I've already made my money. This is all YOLO stuff left, and I'll let it go to maybe 10, and then I'm going to dump out. But that's my personal opinion. But yeah, I'm still in the warrants that are 11.50. So Redbox's warrants are 11.50. So, all right. So let me do this, right? So we establish right here that's 48 million shares just for insiders. Right, so you add up these ones here, I think, right? What do I have here? So adding up these ones right here. Now, this is the difference between us and, so they're categorizing this one as not part of the float. So we only, in this case, I guess we'll take out this last one, and that'll give you the 48 million, right? So this is what the 13Fs are listing as insiders. Now, for whatever reason, this is what they are reporting on all the different sites. And then after you take out all the institutional ownership, you're left with 7.7. This is, though, if you add up all the 13Fs, and this will then go up by 4 million because this gets added on to up here, whatever, up here, asset management. This will go into this category then, not insiders. I still think they're an insider. I don't know why they're not getting categorized as that, but anything that's above a certain percentage is getting listed out for that. So this would get added there, would be around like 25 million shares. And so once you take everything away, you're looking at a tiny, like you have a negative float. So I'm still working out this. I'm trying to get clarification from DTC's investor relations, because obviously it doesn't make sense to have a negative float. And this is one of the weirder ones I've ever dealt with, because I keep asking questions, and normally people are very eager to just give me answers. And on this particular stock, nobody's giving me answers. It seems like everyone's like, ooh, there's something wrong here. And instead of being yeah, there's something wrong here, they're all just ignoring it. So here in the soup here, but it's 176% short interest, or whoever's driving Redbox to choose this run up until they exhaust, which would be higher than 11.50. Everyone knows it's an obvious short. Yeah, so you have to remember, they're underwriters. So just so you guys know this, when you have these warrants, they're underwrote by somebody, and a lot of times what ends up happening is they want to get their money out. So say, for example, they don't want to be long on Redbox anymore, right? They have shares that they have up here at 11.50 that they can unlock and get their money out and then sell those shares on the market, right? So what you got to do is you got to realize that they are probably pushing this stock, and they almost got it here, but they didn't get it completely. They only got to 11. Stock got pushed down, and now these guys now know that they need to unlock this. So they're going to push it all the way up to 1150, maybe a little bit higher than that, and then they're going to dump out on their shares and then just unload them as fast as they can to make any money off of them they can. So Redbox is a distraction. Sure. I mean, like, they're going to dump tomorrow or the next day. Once they hit 1150, they're going to dump. But if you know they're going to go to around like 10, 11, I'm only risking till 10. Like, for me, I'm personally I only have 15 calls left. I've made most of my money already. I've already paid for all the calls that I bought and some profit, and I only have 15 left. And what I'll do tomorrow is if it gaps up and runs a little bit, I'm just going to sell the rest of it, and I'm going to be happy that I made a bunch of money. So, and then I'm going to bring all that money back to Aterian and DTC. So there you go. That's my opinion on Redbox. The warrants are 1150. I understand that the short interest is super high and the cost of borrow and all this stuff, but to me, those warrants are still there as far as I can see. I didn't see anything saying they were removed. So. Okay. All right. So what were we talking about? Oh, DTC. Am I long on it? Yeah. So here's my thing. I typically only choose stocks that I'm willing to basically, if they're not going to squeeze, if I'm playing a squeezed angle, I'm not buying a stock that I don't think I can hold long term if things go sideways. So with Aterian, same thing. These are stocks that I can go, okay, I can see the growth potential in these companies. Yeah, sure, they're going to take lumps during a recession, but at the same time, I think they can last and be viable companies in the future. So that's why I didn't buy things that are like, pipe dreams to me. Like, no offense, I do own a little bit of BBAI or BBIG, but the problem I have with them is their management. And so I bought a couple just as like in the twos, which now I'm like regretting because obviously, it's sitting here in the twos, but I hope they get the squeeze. I hope I get, I hope that whole community gets what they were looking for, which is a nice squeeze. I don't have a ton of faith in their management, simply because Ted Farnsworth, I think, is that guy. Just short anything that guy does, because he likes to run companies into the ground with great ideas that are not profitable. So that's just my opinion on their management. I know they have one leader. I think that's pretty good. I think there's like a female that maybe, I don't know if she's the CEO now or whatever, but yeah, I saw the warrants on those. I saw the amount of dilution they were doing, and that's not a stock that I'm going to put a lot of money into long term. But I hope they get the squeeze, and I hope a lot of people make money on it. But it was just not for me. So when I was choosing them, I chose the one with the smaller smaller float, which had more room to like possibly have, if they needed to raise some money, that's fine. Like they're not overly diluted. So that's why Aterian was the one I chose. Same thing with DTC. This is a stock that I think it's already hit its lowest maybe. I mean, they could retest it if maybe a double bottom. Maybe that's the worst it gets. But I think right now with the float being so illiquid that it'd be hard at this point if retail starts actually paying attention to the stock that this thing could fly if this got any sort of like what you'll see is the FTDs will build up on this, and you've already seen the utilization, I believe, jump up from, let me see, what did the utilization do? So we went on the shorts. So shorts looks like utilization went from 51% to 70 now. So it's jumped up 36% in the last couple days. So that showing you that this stock's starting to get the vices put on now. So, yeah. And I think this is an interesting one because it seems like the more and more people shroud this in like secrecy, the more it makes me think that something's going on here because I can't get straight answers out of anyone. I wrote SP Capital, I wrote SP Global, I wrote IQ Capital, I wrote FINRA or Fintel, I wrote Ortex, and nobody can give me a straight answer on the float. And I contacted a bunch of other people, and they all have these, just there's a huge issue right now with just being able to have somebody clarify, okay, these shares are here, this is why things are going this way. Like, I can't get anyone to talk to me about the stock, including their own investor relations, which makes me think that something's going on. Maybe everyone's just super busy, but at the same time, I mean, it's not usual for me to contact an investor relations and not hear anything back within a week. And that's where I'm at right now. And I'm like, well, this is interesting because I introduced myself. I even I just was like, listen, I'm interested in your products. I'd love to learn more about your company, blah, 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 all the stuff I normally do. And just radio silence. Super weird. Never had that before. Most other people have gotten back to me. So I'm going to try calling, I think. I just didn't have time the last couple of days. But I do want to see that happen. Let's see. All right. At least crypto's not crashing anymore. That's always good. All right. Yeah, it's a good entry point. Anything under $5, I think is a good entry point on DTC. Even like $5.50, because I think what's going to end up happening is we may chop around, consolidate a little bit in this area, and then we should be kind of moving up. But I think when it moves, it's going to move hard and fast because what's going to end up happening is I think the short interest will start increasing because they're going to have to fight basically more and more retailers coming in. And then what you're going to see is utilization get spiked out at 100%, and then that's when the FTDs and everything will start piling up. But, I mean, if you look at their options chains, like, it's completely one-sided. Like, there are no, like, puts. Or, like, in fact, I looked, and I know for a fact that I bought 200 puts. I didn't buy. I sold 200 puts, meaning bullish, on them. And I'm looking at their, like, I'm looking at their options chains, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, most of their put volume is me selling puts. So, like, they have a ton of, like, let me see if I can screenshot this real quick. Because, like, I mean, I can do the entire thing all right here. And it's not like I have to, because they have, it's so small. They're still monthlies and. Need to change this real quick. Hold on. All right. See this. So here's the entire options chain. Like, there's not much here. There's been very little volume, very little interest in this stock. And so what you're going to see look at this. Oh, that's weird. They don't even have the open interest listed. Huh. I didn't even notice that when I was pulling it up. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else. That's super weird. I've never seen that before. All their open interest on it is all disappeared. So let's type in DTC Options Chains. Yeah, this one at least has it. Okay, let's do all. All. Here we go. Give me 2 seconds and I'll pull it over for you guys. Okay. So here's the entire options chains on DTC, right? So everyone right now is stacking all these like 750s. Let me break it down so you guys can see it a little better. Let me try it with doing this. I'll make it so you guys can see it. I'm gonna edit with open with paint because I'm old school and I don't know how to do anything else. I need to improve my. All right, so these are the strike prices. We'll put them here. Green is in the money. And you'll just see how barren this thing is. So look, and you're still getting like really cheap options on this because IV's non-existent on the stock right now. So look at this. We'll zoom in a little bit. It's still hard to see. Maybe this is fine. Okay. So let's look at this. This is 10 days away from right now. So here's the biggest thing I see and the biggest problem I see. So max pain is obviously going to be right here below $5. So anything in the fours would basically burn out all this, open interest. So that's what they're going to aim for the market maker. What needs to start happening is they need to start stacking these, in the money ones, or people need to start selling $5 puts for this to start going up. This is the $5 puts. That would cause buying pressure. So if you sell a put that's bullish, so in this case, if you're willing to say, okay, if the stock price falls below $5, I'm fine with buying those shares. And you'll collect a premium of around 25 to 30 something, maybe, depending on when you can get it. In fact, I have some shares in there that I sold. And then on this side, you're looking at, like, if they can keep this above here, then obviously you've got more that are in the money that will be have to be delivered. But I mean, you just looked at the stock, like your bid ask right now on these things, you're looking at $2.40 ask, 240 bid, 260 ask. Look down here at November. You can get almost the same thing. So, I mean, these are cheap. Like, these are super cheap right now. So, I could see this moving at some point, and the people that have, this I'm not a fan of, because this just asked to be burned. Like, these two open interests here just are asking to be burned. Yeah, we finished above $5, and I hope we do push up next week, and then these are all very safe, and then we maybe even see these go in the money. But at this point right now, this is giving the market maker a whole reason to pin the price right here, below $5, because now they have incentive, because you get to burn all this and keep all this premium. So, if you're buying this little theta, you better be deep in the money. So for me, I'd be the one picking up these ones if I was playing this short term, because I'd rather at least see the shares turn into long shares, or you could buy further out for almost the same prices. You know, the only thing is just the immediacy. It's just going to push. It might be down here a couple months out that we actually do move up. Because right now I believe they have June 17th, July 15th, August, and November. They don't even have September in there. So, okay, so that's what I'm seeing there. But yeah, I see DTC as a long-term viable, so they have a chance of squeezing, but at the same time, I'm telling you right now, what I see from them is I'm going to keep digging into this tomorrow, but I do want to see this consolidate, and then I want to see the options chain start getting stacked up. I'm just saying, if you're going to pay between 240 and 260, and you can pay 250 to 275. I mean, for November theta, I'd rather have that and buy these 250s than to buy 250s here. So that's just my personal opinion. It's safer, but once again, none of this is financial advice. This is just what I'm eyeing up and seeing. But I like the fact that somebody's stacking down here, because that means to me that they at least have an idea of what's going on, and they're buying. Why would I pay this when I can have theta and pay almost the same price? So I expect this to start getting built up down here, and then eventually they're going to have to deal with these as this starts coming up in the the summer. They're going to have to deal with the fact that options chains are getting stacked up on only one side, and do they really want to be short going into like the summer seasons on a stock that sells probably more items in the summer? So I don't know. That's the way I'm looking at it. I think it's going to take an aggressive move up at some point. So, all right. That's it for tonight, guys. If you've enjoyed it, we do have a free Discord. It's for anyone. I'll go ahead and link it in the thing. And what about Aterian September warrants? Sure. Do you know when days to covers went down? Oh, do you know why DTC went down when the markets went up? Yeah, I'll be honest with you. There's no volume on the stock. This stock traded under 1 million shares. So, at this point right now, it's still very easily manipulated down because there's nobody buying and there's nobody selling. So it's just kind of like doing whatever. At this point right now, it needs some people to come into it for it to move up. So that's why. And then September warrants, there are... Where is... So for Aterian, the September warrants are... The pipe warrants, there are 7,087,630. So basically it's 7,087,630. So it's basically just 7 million. And they have an exercise price of 320. They are to Armistice Capital and High Trail. And then the next warrants are at 25 and at 15, but really the ones at 25 are the next ones. There's 5.3 at 25 that at some point I'm sure would like to be unlocked. So that's all they have for delusion, though. And a lot of those are unattainable. So 25, I'm sure pretty much everyone here would be ecstatic if we were sitting at 25. So. All right, guys. You guys have a great evening. If you're not part of the Discord, please go ahead and check that out. Did I link it? Did I link it? Maybe? No. All right, here you go. Make sure I've got through all them. All right. You guys have a great evening, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you tomorrow.